Welcome back to the Associated Guests. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, I was going to do a longer stream and then possibly a gaming stream, but I got addicted to sleep this morning, and then I got addicted to Knights of the Old Republic, a game that I was already kind of in the middle of and couldn't stream it because I was in the middle of it. But today we're going to do something a little special for the new year. There's been a lot of heat around the Nation of Islam in America of late. So today we're going to check in with Nux on a video that he put out about what the Quran says about the Jews, what the Quran says about the Bible, and then in between we're going to check with Rue and Leon about something else the Quran may have something to say on. But let's get into it with Mr. Nux Taku. Nux?
Okay, what does the Quran think of the Jews? This is going to be a two-parter. Tune in tomorrow and we see what the Quran thinks of the Christians. Today we're going to be doing what the Quran thinks of the Jews. Now, we're doing lore dives on this channel. We're covering all of fiction. Intuit what you will from that phrase. We're doing all of fiction on this channel. Every single piece of fiction, anime, cartoon, video game, or religion that we are going to be doing deep dives, ladies.
That's funny.
Oh my God, people are going to take this in the worst way. I'm a religious man, I'll have you know.
That's
I believe
the best
in God,
way to take things.
And God says that we should call out false prophets. I'm just saying. So today in the series of Islam lore dives, we're going to see the Islam lore about the Jews. All right, lock in. I learned that a Jew killed Muhammad, so I assume, and previously on the lore dive, so I assume that there's some beef there. Also, there's the whole radical Muslims killing Jews around the world thing that, not super exciting. All right, let's see what we got.
I mean, not just
In
Jews.
the 21st century, nothing is more dangerous than ignorance. And
True.
the most dangerous kind of
True.
ignorance for Jews is ignorance of Islam.
He's
Guy's
so
got some
right.
pointed eyebrows.
Dude, I have spoken to woke Jews, and they're like, actually, Islam loves Jews. And it's like, bro, what do you mean?
Look,
They're only reason.
it's okay to say that Islam doesn't specifically hate Jews. I mean, you're ignorant if you say that, but it's okay to say it. But to say that Islam and Muslims love Jews is stupid.
Reason why radical Muslims are killing Jews these days is because the state of Israel started all these wars, which is total horse shit. Like, for anyone that knows any amount of history. Now, again,
Why do I say it proper instead of the way it's supposed to be? Look, okay, so if you're someone who is talking about something, whether it's positive or negative, and you mispronounce, whether it's on purpose or because you're stupid or ignorant, it defeats your own argument, okay? So saying the name of it, like Islam and Muslim instead of Islam and Muslim, it just shows your ignorance from the face. So whether you're talking positive or negative about it, you're showing your ass. Because if you can't even pronounce the words correctly as they're intended by the people who speak them, then why should anyone listen to anything else that you say? If you start off on the wrong foot of directly insulting whatever you're talking about or whomever you're talking about, then no one should really listen to you because you're just an asshole at that point. You're not engaging with whatever you're speaking on, at least in my opinion.
I'm not expecting everyone watching this to be a history buff in random tiny countries in the Middle East or anything, but Israel hasn't started a single war. Since Israel's founding, it has not started a single war. Every single war has been a defensive war. Every land that was taken was land that was taken in defensive wars that was started by other people. The Nakba that displaced 650,000 Palestinians, that was done because surrounding Arab countries attacked Israel and told the Arabs in Israel to join their side against their country. And they lost. Now, the reality is that exact thing. They left. They lost. It's horrible. So anyone that knows any amount of history knows that.
And all this is true. I used to study religion thoroughly because my cousin was a pastor, and I liked to piss him off And nothing pisses someone off more than someone who has actually researched a topic thoroughly and um, and can keep them on their toes. I'm not anti-religious by any means, but I do like to press people I know, especially, on certain topics, and that's the main reason I researched a lot of this. And then my studies on Christianity led me to Judaism. When I was in Afghanistan, I learned all about the Quran, both from reading and from talking to the locals. And it was just fascinating. And my cousin, who got into the pastor who got into reading Eastern religions and seeing what we could take from them and apply to Western religion, just out of curiosity. Whether or not he did anything, I don't recall off the top of my head, but he was scoffed at and insulted by a lot of little old ladies who told him that he was the devil and going to hell. So naturally, hearing this upon him, this happening, because I was on the phone with him at the time, I drove straight over to, I think it was Books A Million, got the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter, Gandalf's stick, because they have a great assortment of, it is technically book-related content, but they have a nice assortment of that. And I basically grabbed everything witchy, wizardy I could find, and I paced the hallways hoping she would say something to me. I didn't find her, unfortunately. She moves quick for an old lady, but it was fun. However, it did take me away from fucking with fair weather protesters that day, people who were protesting Walmart, but that's another story for another day.
This didn't start with Israel. The Mufti or whatever of the Palestine Mandate allied with Hitler during the World War II. All right, but again, woke Jews tell me that actually Israel is the issue, and those woke Jews are retarded. Anyway,
Islam has a lot to say.
Well, and why you would take the opinions of people who are anything like Jews who are Jews by birth and not by belief. I'll never know. Especially if it's they started off and they did all the teachings and learnings of what young Jews who are devout are put into by their parents, then sure. But if it's a second or third generation removed Jew by birth, this isn't someone you need to really take seriously, okay? It's basically a game of telephone at that point. But then again, I mean, what the hell isn't these days as far as information goes?
About various
all right,
groups,
let's go.
Jews,
Let's go.
Christians, polytheists,
I'm learning about Jews,
women, and so on.
We're doing Jew lore through Islam lore. It's crazy.
And it's important for these groups to understand what Islam says about them.
All right.
Because what Islam says about them will have an ever-increasing impact on their groups as Islam spreads.
You mean to tell me that there's a couple of radical Muslims that quote Quran verses and kill Jews, and the actual religion has negative things to say about the Jews?
What?
I don't believe that.
That's
The Quran
craziness.
contains numerous verses about Jews, some
right.
nice and some not so nice.
Fair,
and the Quran's
fair.
claim
Is it just me, or does this guy here look like Lewis Black's son or something? Or a young Lewis Black? You know what I'm talking about from The Daily Show? I don't know what it is. Just like right here and, the extra hair. I mean, imagine Lewis Black with hair and young. Like maybe 10 years before he was on The Daily Show, or 20 years before he was on The Daily Show, what he would look like then.
claims about Jews
Fair.
have been affecting Jewish-Muslim relations for 14 centuries. For Jewish viewers who would like to know what
that's
Islam
me.
says about them,
That's me.
but don't have much time to study the Muslim sources,
So true.
I've
so
put together
true.
the shortest possible list of relevant Quran verses.
Based.
There are dozens
I love
of
this
Quran
guy.
verses about Jews that we
That's
could
right.
examine, but we're going to focus on just 3,
Sorry about that.
all from the same chapter, Surah 5.
All right.
Keep in mind that we'll only be talking about what Islam
And if this isn't your cup of tea, people who enjoy my normal content, I'm sorry. It's New Year's Day. I figured I'd do something a little different. There's not a whole lot that happened last night, at least as far as I've heard so far. I know they thwarted a few terrorist attacks in New York and a couple other places before New Year's Eve, but I don't know of anything that actually got carried out. I do know, however, the fireworks in the DFW were crazy.
Ideology claims, not what a particular Muslim believes.
True. Yeah,
For
absolutely.
a Jew, you may have a Muslim friend or...
Dude, every human is an individual. I want to know what the actual belief structure of the religion itself says. All right, I'm not talking about radicals that go even further than the religion demands. I'm not talking about moderates that don't go as far as the religion demands. I just want to know the lore.
Co-worker who's the nicest person...
No, exactly, and that's the main reason I do things like this, is that because I grew up with around Christians. I grew up in the Bible Belt in the South. So there was a bit of, I don't want to say oppression because it wasn't really that, but being put upon by those who had religion on their side, so to speak. Not all of them. There were some, a few people that I went to church with when I was a kid who were just nice people, just good people. I check in on them from time to time just because out of sheer curiosity. But yeah, no, they're genuinely good people, and you can kind of see it. Because who else would be that into something after as much dejection as he gets from what they call secular folk? It's interesting. It's almost like one of those things where, like, if we were all how we were supposed to be. Oh my God, sorry, something on X. But if we were all how we were supposed to be in the biblical sense, that's where this guy lives full time. It's crazy. Even to this day, it's like he hasn't changed at all, minus being an adult. Him specifically. There are a couple others that are close to that, but on the other end of things, with any church, and anyone who's gone to church knows this, you have people who are just on the opposite end of the spectrum. Even people who never stop going. It's baffling how much they use their religion as a cudgel, a cover and a mask for all the little things that they do on the side. And they're the people that give said religion a bad name for the most part. Because the guy who I talked about in the first one, they're the good ones, and they're the ones that get a lot of shit for being how they are. That's why I don't get down on people for who they are, so long as they're not like falling apart in front of you, or hurting anyone else, or trying to control the zeitgeist, the flow of how most mainstream things are. As long as they're not trying to assert dominance, control, or power, then I'm cool with people being however they are. You be who you are. You live your life the way that you want to. But it's when you start putting things on other people that I really, it just, I don't know. And not necessarily talking like the door knockers for some religions are a bit much, but for the rest, I know I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. But they seem to be the ones that annoy most people, or then the religious Karens that were prominent before the millennium, and probably for at least 5-10 years after that, and then they still pop up from time to time. But let's face it, both sides have plenty of Karens. I have to refresh X real quick. Apparently, every place that was broadcasting the 4th of July had some kind of like, why would you zoom in on people just making out? And not any particular sexuality. Like, there's hetero and homo. Like, it's all represented here, and it's just okay. I got to. Why won't it? There it goes. Finally. Sorry, people are just. You don't want to see that kind of thing, and if you do, seek help. Find somebody for yourself.
in the world.
And if you have someone and still want to, again, not here to judge, but ew.
And who has no problem with you or with your religion
True.
or with Israel.
That exists.
We're not
And for the record, those guys are the moderates. No, I'm just saying. There's no like fully pious religious Muslim that's completely religious in every way that likes Jews that I know of. All right, I know a guy that's a loosely religious Muslim guy. He fasts on Ramadan or whatever. And he doesn't have any issues with Jews. He's a super nice guy. But the reality is the actual radicals, or by that I mean the people that literally follow the word of the book. Yeah, they don't like Jews.
Discussing what individual.
And again, for me personally, it's okay if you don't like someone for whatever stupid reason. Something happened. You've never had a good experience with person in said group. I've heard all kinds of different reasons. I'm fine with it as long as you keep it to yourself. Like if you want to be like Angela from The Office and give just people snide looks of judgment, whatever. Do you? People are gonna mock you and then move forward. Or just be like, the hell's wrong with that person? But at the same time, if it goes beyond that to where you're attacking people, either like a Karen crashing out in public or acts of violence, that's when it's too much. And on the other end of the spectrum, the people who actively love everybody, who, like, I was watching an Abin Preach video a couple years back. That was just a bunch of like white people saying how much they love black people, and then white women talking about how much they love black men. And these two black guys that were watching it were just like, that's a bit much. It's like weird and creepy and almost stalkery to an extent. But as long as you're not hurting people, if you want to go on the internet and embarrass yourself, by all means.
Individuals believe. We're discussing what Islam teaches.
That's right.
And we can get a nice overview by reading just 3 verses.
All right, good stuff.
Our first verse is Surah 5, verse 32. Even if you've never studied Islam, you've probably heard part of this verse at some point because it's one of the most frequently quoted Quran verses in the West.
Uh-oh.
After every Islamic terrorist attack, politicians and journalists remind us that such attacks are un-Islamic because the Quran declares that if anyone kills a man, it's as if
like
he's
you
killed
killed the
all
whole
mankind.
world. Yeah, I know this verse. This is a stolen verse. The Quran actually stole this from the Talmud. A lot of you probably don't know that, but this is a Talmud verse. If you kill a person, it's like you kill all of mankind, and if you save a person, it's like you saved all of mankind. The Quran literally stole that directly from the Talmud. Right? The word of God, right? The word of Allah. The word of Allah is literally just borrowed from the Talmud for the Jewish scholar debates in the Talmud. For those of you that are unaware, anyway.
They never quote the complete verse, of course, and they almost never give the reference. Because if they gave the reference, someone might read the complete verse. And even worse, might read the very...
By the way, I don't believe I've read the Talmud. I can't remember if it was in the Tanakh. I've read through the Tanakh. And then, of course, the Old Testament of the Bible. But I don't know if that includes the Talmud off the top of my head. I need to... As a matter of fact, how long is the Talmud? Oh, 256 pages. That's not bad. That's like one of the smaller Harry Potter books. Okay.
Next verse. Watch what happens when we read the entire verse.
Uh-oh.
This is how Surah 5, verse 32 is usually quoted to us by politicians and journalists.
Yeah, if anyone killed a person, it was as if he killed all of mankind. 2 sentences, not even next to each other, within one giant...
Yeah. I mean, it says not in retaliation of... Okay, so it's just giving more in-depth. You always... And this is the thing. You can do this Dateline shit on your own channels and... block out most of anything just to find something that fits your narrative. Sometimes people do it to just point shit out because all this it's like prepositional phrases. It's just trying to really get you to understand exactly what they're saying. But stuff like this, like save the life of all mankind. Yeah, it's just he wanted you to see that specific one. Just pointing that out because I've had a lot of caffeine this morning.
Paragraph.
If anyone killed a person, it would be as if he killed all mankind.
True.
Sometimes they include a bit more, telling us that the Quran says, if anyone killed a person, it would be as if...
Oh, I'm a dipshit. So it was just because he didn't want you to read that part yet until he got to it.
If he killed all mankind, and if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind.
One of my few regrets in life, and I've tried learning it the last couple of years, I don't have the capacity for it now, not that I did back then, is how to read a Middle Eastern or Asian language that's, these interesting characters here, or the Chinese or Japanese symbols. That's one of the few regrets I have in life. Just side note, but no, it's just interesting. Like, look at that long ass thing. Giggity.
It's still wild to me that they literally stole so much from the Talmud. It's like, how they supposedly hate the Talmud, and they just rip off Talmud quotes.
Well, see, and that's the thing. The first five, I think it's the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, all 3 of the major religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, follow those first 5 books. Like, they're in all 3 of the, the religious literature. Their main books, the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, or the Tanakh, I think, is the full. But I don't know. I read through it it's been like 10, 15 years ago. But it's it's fascinating.
But let's see what
For me,
politicians
at least,
and journalists leave out. Because of that, we ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone killed a person not in retaliation of murder or to spread mischief in the land.
Wait. First of all, this is talking to the children of Israel. I'm just noticing that it doesn't call them the children of Palestine, but hey, that's just me. So the children of Israel are not allowed to do this, etc., etc. But this is saying that you're allowed to just murder people in retaliation? Hold up. You're allowed to just murder people in retaliation in Islam? That's wild. Okay.
It would be as if he killed all mankind. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of all mankind.
The Punisher
And
is
indeed, there came to them our messengers with clear proofs, evidences, and signs. Even then, after that, many of them continued to exceed the limits, e.g. by doing oppression unjustly and exceeding beyond the limits set by Allah by committing the major sins in the land.
Oh my God.
Notice 4 things about this verse. 1, the Quran says that this was a revelation for Jews, the children of Israel.
Yeah, that's Jews.
We ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone killed a person...
That is crazy. It's crazy because I see this every time. Every time, there's a Islamic terrorist attack, you get, your Muslim politicians being like, what do you mean? It literally says in the Quran that if anyone were to kill someone, it's like you killed all of mankind. That terrorist did not act like a true Muslim. But literally, the Quran isn't even talking to Muslims when it says this. This is literally a quote talking to Jews.
Well, and not only that, but just like when they're trying to nitpick at something someone says who believes the opposite of them, not Islamic people, but as far as the mainstream media, the left or the right, anytime they're talking about something that they said, they'll show you this little bitty section of something, yes, you did in fact say, that shows how great a person you are or how great an organization you are. Whereas the opponent will always do the same tactic, but saying something like, oh, they said this, and it was just awful. But if you put it into full context, you see how it's different. It's just, and I know I bring it up for Trump, but it's as much as that guy actually does, that's not the best, we'll say. The amount of stuff that's just made up, pure slander. You see it reported, you see the actual paperwork evidence, or people actually committing an action, and then later they'll be like, oh, we didn't do that. It's Or you'll see a video of them doing something, and then they'll be like, "Oh no, he never did that. Oh no, she never said that." It's kind of insane. Like if you pay attention, you notice all these inconsistencies and how the media sometimes they'll just report the thing enough of a story to make whichever side that they've taken look better. So it's still the truth, but it's a lie by omission. And at the same time, sometimes they just flat out lie. And they're all guilty of this. Some more than others, of course, but all of them.
In the Quran. That's crazy. Oh my God. Like, it's lies on top of lies. Holy crap.
Not in retaliation of murder or to spread mischief in the land. It would be as if he killed all mankind. And we know what the Quran is referring to here. This is a quotation from a Jewish rabbi in the Talmud.
Bro! I told you! I literally told you. Yo! Dude, Rabbi Nux Justified. Once again, subscribe for more lore from Rabbi Nuxanor.
The Quran says
I like it. It
that
rhymes.
Allah ordained this for the children of Israel.
Yeah.
Politicians and journalists omit the part about the children of Israel so that they can pretend that Islam calls for endless peace and tolerance.
But I was told that it's the religion of peace.
Meanwhile, the very next verse, Surah 5, verse 33, is a revelation for Muslims, and it commands Muslims to dismember and kill and crucify all kinds of people.
Oh my God. One verse later, the recompense of those who wage war against Allah and his messenger and do mischief in the land, only that they shall be killed or crucified, or their hands or feet cut off from opposite sides, or be exiled from the land. That is their disgrace in this world, and a great torment in theirs. And oh my God! So what?
That's crazy.
Wait. So when they always, all the politicians, they all quote, "But Islam is the religion of peace because if you kill one person, like you kill all of mankind." That's talking to Jews. Now, one verse later, talking to Muslims, literally kill, crucify, and cut the limbs off people that disagree with you.
That's how they do it. They're just like, no. Look at 32. Well, 33 says, what did I say? 32.
Holy
Sorry, that was a terrible accent.
So, 533 justifies terrorism. Politicians and journalists ignore it and go to 532. They do a bit of editing, and there you have it. Islam is a religion of peace.
That's crazy.
Two,
Oh
since
my
this
God.
is the standard verse
I
quoted by
never
Muslims.
knew that. I never knew that quote. I always just thought that was a Talmud ripoff, which it was. I just didn't know that the quote was so badly butchered out of context.
And what's crazy is, I've even forgotten some of this because you hear so much from all religions, really, but especially this one. It's just like, oh no, this in this verse, it says this. So naturally, you hear something enough, and that's just what's there. I keep being just completely dumbfounded by how many times I just heard something from somebody I trusted at the time, no matter how young I was. And that being my only interaction with a certain subject, I just naturally assumed it was true because I was young and naive. Then it turns out.
Apologists and politicians and journalists to show that Islam is a religion of peace,
All right.
we should always point out that the most peaceful verse in the Quran is actually a quotation from the Talmud. 3, the Quran says that this Jewish
That's
teaching
crazy.
is a revelation from Allah. So according to the Quran...
Wait, so according to the Quran, the Talmud was given to the Jews by Allah? Bro, dude, this... oh my God. Yeah, well, here we are, back in the Islamic...
And just note, God, Yahweh, and Allah are all the same people. I'm pretty. I know God and Allah are. I'm pretty sure that Yahweh is just what they call him and not a different entity. But the only difference is the prophet. For the Christians, it's Jesus. For the Islamic people, or for the Muslims, it's Muhammad. I can't remember exactly who it is. With the Jews, pretty sure it's just God. I know Moses is huge there. Sorry. But yeah, like if you hear them say Allah, they're literally talking about the same God. It's all the same God. It's just the prophet that brought about said religion is the main one. And even after all these years, that's crazy. It's been, what, 1,000 years? No, 2,000 years since Christ. And I think a few hundred years since Muhammad. No, it might have been 1,000, but I'll have to look that up. But it's crazy that these three organizations have been around for that long, in some form at least.
Islamic dilemma once again.
The Talmud, or at least a portion of it, is a revelation from Allah,
That's awesome.
just as the Torah and the Gospel, according to the Quran, are revelations from Allah. Commentary from a rabbi in the Talmud is revelation from Allah.
Based Allah. Allah was cooking the whole time. Who let Allah in the kitchen?
Good to know.
Yeah, true.
For the Quran says that there was an exception.
I am so happy I'm watching this. I
me
feel
too,
so
actually.
vindicated. It's crazy.
Rule against
Oh
killing,
my God.
and that Jews could execute people for spreading mischief in the land. If anyone killed a person not in retaliation of murder,
Okay, yeah, so according to this, Christianity is 2,000 years old. Islam is approximately 1,400 years old. So yeah, Christianity is older. How old is Judaism? Yeah, over 3,000 according to this. So it is the oldest widely, or at least somewhat widely, practiced religion in the world. It's probably why there's so much fewer of them. But yeah, no, it's wild that they've fought for this long.
murder or to spread mischief in the land, it would be as if he killed all mankind. So, Jews, according to the Quran, had authority from Allah to carry out capital punishment for certain crimes committed in the land.
Base Jews.
Pop quiz for those of you who read the Quran. Which land is the Quran referring to here?
Israel, obviously.
Yeah, it said Israel.
Is it A, Canada, B, China,
Okay.
C, Switzerland, or D, Israel? Allah, according to the Quran, gave the children of Israel
That's
authority
crazy.
over the land of Israel.
I am literally lost, bro. When you hear radical Islamists foaming at the mouth, screaming about Palestine and shit, and and Allah gave the Jews the land of Israel in the Quran. You can't make this up. They literally just they lie to you like they breathe.
Yes, Allah is a Zionist who says that the
mean,
children of
every
Israel
breath I take
have
is
the
a lie.
right to punish people for spreading mischief in the land.
Oh my God.
Can you think of it?
Look, man, the Jews were controlling the... Not only were the Jews controlling the government, they were controlling the author of the Quran back in the day. Oh, my God.
Anyone
crazy.
who's been spreading mischief in the land?
I could think of some.
Next verse, Surah 5,
All right,
verse
moving on.
43. The historical background of this verse is that some Jews came to
I just love that the Quran gives Jews the right to kill Hamas. That's got to be the craziest twist of all time.
Muhammad to judge
That
a
is
dispute.
pretty
Allah
crazy.
responded by saying to Muhammad, "But how do they come to you, Muhammad, for decision
Oh, yeah, I've
while
seen this
they
verse.
have the Torah,
Yeah.
in which is the plain decision of Allah? Yet even after that, they turn away, for they are not really believers." Allah wanted to know why Jews would come to Muhammad when they already had the Torah.
Based Allah.
Muhammad gives a dramatic
Dude, Allah's been so based.
illustration of Allah's point in Sunan Abu Dawud 4449, where we see Muhammad's reaction to the Jews coming to him for judgment. In 7th century Arabia, the person who judged a dispute would sit on a judgment cushion. Watch what Muhammad does.
It kind of feels like we all still sit on judgment cushions as we watch things like this.
They set out a cushion for the messenger of Allah, and he sat on it. Then he said, "Bring me the Torah." It was brought, and he took the cushion from beneath him and placed the Torah on it and said, "I believe in you and in the one who revealed you." So the Jews bring a copy of the Torah.
Wow.
Muhammad takes the judgment cushion out from under him and puts the Torah on the judgment cushion.
Based.
Muhammad speaks to the Torah and says, I believe in you and in the one who revealed you. According to the Quran, do Jews need Muhammad's revelations? No, because they already have the Torah.
This is crazy, man.
The Quran, then, is useless.
It is wild to me. It is wild to me that either Muslims don't know this or lie about it today. You know? Because...
Well, I'm sure it's one of those things. I mean, you know how Christians, if you've ever gone to a Christian church, they have all kinds of stories in the Bible that they don't really do many sermons about.
Muslims view Jews as, like, you know, non-believers and stuff, obviously.
And we know a lot of people who just don't really read the Bible.
Jews, according to the Quran itself. Notice also that both Muhammad and Allah affirm the inspiration, preservation, and continuing authority of the Torah. Third verse.
Did you know that the Torah talks about all sorts of holy wars that the Jews had to do to wipe out the enemies of Israel? Again, I'm just asking if people knew about that, but it's literally there are entire books of the Torah dedicated to warring to conquer Israel and to war against enemies that want to take it from you. I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. I don't know, dude. This is pretty wild. So Allah confirms all of this. This is wild, dude.
Surah 5, verse 82. Verily, you will find the strongest among men in enmity to the believers, i.e. Muslims, the Jews, and those who are al-mushrikun. Mushrikun are people who associate partners with Allah. And you will find
That's
the
Christians.
nearest.
That means Christians, because they view Christians as polytheistic religion.
In love to the believers, i.e. Muslims, those who say, we are Christians. That is because amongst them are priests and monks, and they are not proud. So, the greatest enemies of Muslims, according to Surah 5, verse 82 of the Quran, are Jews and those who associate partners with Allah. And the closest in love to Muslims are Christians. Oddly enough, Jews and Christians are different groups from the mushriks here. Jews and Christians don't associate partners with Allah. Later in the Quran, when Allah has to justify violently subjugating Jews and Christians, he declares that Jews and Christians are, in fact, mushriks. It's interesting how Allah's eternal word, the Quran...
It's kind of weird how he keeps changing his mind, bro. I thought Allah, like, knew his stuff.
...changed depending on how Muhammad was feeling.
That's wild.
When Muhammad began receiving revelations in Mecca, the message of the Quran was... It's Muslims, Jews, and Christians united as monotheists against the polytheists. Later, Muhammad and his followers moved to Medina, and it was a very important test for Muhammad because he had just spent a decade telling his followers that the Jews would accept him as a prophet. Muhammad had assured his followers that there were prophecies about him in the Torah, book of Trust Me Bro, chapter Just Take My Word For It.
Right, obviously.
But now that the Muslim community had moved to Medina, where there were 3 tribes of Jews, Muslims finally had an opportunity to...
I was checking it out. I might give it another run-through.
See if Muhammad was right. In a shocking blow to Muhammad's ego, the...
Nah, just, I mean, you know... Just curious.
Jews rejected him as a prophet and mocked him.
Base Jews. Base Jews, let's go. They didn't fall for this one.
For his ignorance.
Bro.
That's when the message of the Quran changed to Muslims and Christians are united against...
Dude, that is shocking. So in Mecca, he was like, I am the Lord of the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. We all get together, us monotheists against the world. And then the Jews didn't accept him as like some prophet. And he was like, actually, fuck the Jews. Let's kill them. Damn, that's wild. That's wild that Allah would change his mind like that.
Against pagans and Jews, as we read in Surah 5, verse 82. Eventually, Christians also rejected him as a prophet. So the message of Islam became, it's Muslims against everyone. So Surah 5, verse 82 is from the middle period when there was still hope that Christians would accept Muhammad. Again, it's strange that an eternal book would be so heavily influenced by Muhammad's interactions with non-Muslims.
Yeah, pretty weird.
Sadly, the Quran's claim that Jews are among the greatest enemies of Islam because they rejected Muhammad has had a lasting impact on many Muslims and even on their view of future events. In Sahih Muslim, number 7339, Muhammad says, "The hour, the day of judgment, will not begin until the Muslims fight the Jews."
Yeah, this ended up becoming one of Hamas's slogans. I've heard this one.
"And the Muslims will kill them until a Jew hides behind a rock or a tree, and the rock or tree will say, 'O Muslim, O slave of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him.'" Putting all of this together.
These guys were on PCP if rocks and trees are talking to them.
And that is literally the Hamas charter. You know, river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Every tree, every rock that is a Jew hiding behind him, the tree and the rock will shout out to the Muslim, Muslim, O slave of Allah."
Someone just asked, what's PCP? That's something that marks how old I am. That's the the one that comes to my mind first. I watch a lot of I watch a lot of Dave Chappelle.
There is a Jew behind this rock. Come and kill the Jew. That is literally part of the actual slogan. Not even exaggerating.
The Quran says that Jews were given not only revelations from Allah, including the Torah and the Talmud, but also a piece of land where Jews can enforce their laws against those who make mischief. The Quran says that Jews don't need Muhammad because they have the Torah, the inspired, preserved, authoritative word of Allah. But for some reason, even though Muhammad and the Quran are useless to Jews, they're still supposed to acknowledge Muhammad as a prophet. Since they don't, Islam declares that Jews will be the enemies of Muslims.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be rude here.
No, sorry, I thought I saw something, but it was a fake tweet.
But it kind of sounds like Muhammad just had a giant crash out, and it affected future Islamic Judaic relations for the next 1400 years.
Until Muslims kill them to usher in the end times. Not very comforting, but that's what we find when we read the Muslim sources. Now, if I were a Jew, and I knew what Islam teaches about Jews, and I saw the impact that Muhammad's teachings have on the world,
even today,
I would probably...
Jews murdered in Manchester by Islamists. Jews lit on fire in Colorado in America by Islamists. Jews murdered in a beach in Australia by Islamists, not to mention the infinite terrorist attacks in Israel. A lot of people don't talk about it. Like, for example, last Friday, there was a girl that was stabbed, a Jewish girl that was stabbed by a certain man of a certain peaceful religion screaming Allahu Akbar, and she died. She was murdered. And it happens, and it's unbelievable.
Spend some time responding to what the Quran says about me and my family and my community. And if anyone asked me, why are you criticizing the Quran? I would calmly reply, look, the Quran talked about me and my family and my community long before I said a word about the Quran.
True.
And look, that's one way of looking at it. The way I look at it is, if it's okay to say whatever you want about Jews, if it's okay to say whatever you want about Christians, which most people do, most people have no trouble saying jokes or criticizing those two faiths. So why can't you criticize Islam? You're not saying anything necessarily about the people who follow it, no more than you would the people of the other religions. That's my main thing. You have to be consistent all the way across. Either you can make fun of all of them, or you can't make fun of any of them. And that's it. If you give any of them more preferential treatment than the others, then that's the one that will be dominant next. Because if you can't criticize anything, then that's pretty much just like having, what's it, like a dictator. Like, you can't talk about Kim Jong-un in Korea. You can't talk about Winnie the Pooh in China. You can't talk about, Putin in Russia. they're in power, and they'll, whatever will happen if you say anything about them. I mean, I know they're to different degrees, but it's the same principle. That's why if you let people make fun of all of them, if you really wanted them to go away, that's what would make more sense. Me, I just like freedom, but I mean, if I was looking at it from a certain point of view, if you're allowed to make fun of all three of them, then no one will take any of them seriously, at least no more serious than the other one, and maybe equality.
And if you don't think that I have every right to respond to Islam's most trusted sources calling for our violent subjugation, you have my full permission to cry me a river.
Based.
I am not, never have been.
Yeah, dude, people are going to call me Islamophobic for this, but they forgot the new Nux mantra, the I don't give a shit, fuck you mantra, which is honestly, it's becoming stronger and stronger every day.
Never will be your dhimmi.
I mean, his is a more extreme version of my own thing. But no, you should be able to mock pretty much anything, but religion specifically. If it's completely okay to make fun of one, all the way across, saying, "Damn," just like some of even entertainment has been pretty sacrilege when it comes to Christianity. No one cares. I mean, some people care, but I mean, does it really affect anyone's decision making when it comes to said topic? I don't know. Like I said, it's just it makes sense to me. Does it not? Leave a comment if you agree or disagree, and let me know why. Really get into it.
Deal with it.
That was a good video. Subscribe for tomorrow, where we see what Allah has to say about the Christians. All right, this was the.
Yep, and we're gonna take a brief intermission on that, and we're gonna watch a ruined Leon video.
Forward to it. Thanks. Well, Mia Bailey, the woman who was convicted of killing her parents inside their Washington City home, will serve at least 50 years to life in prison. Bailey was
that the hair and the face don't match. Like she's, I don't know. Her face is weirding me out. She looks like one of my old librarians. Got glamour shots. That's gonna age me pretty well right there.
Was in front of a judge for that sentencing today for shooting and killing her parents back in 2024. Our Southern Utah correspondent Joseph DeGolier was in the courtroom today.
She looks like the teacher from
Bailey showed up for
Jimmy
sentencing
Neutron.
after her request to not be present was denied by the judge. As part of a plea deal, Bailey pleaded guilty in November to 2 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated assault. The sentencing hearing lasted nearly an hour.
My
the
God,
judge
the
heard
shoulders.
statements from Bailey's siblings who spoke about loss, safety, and accountability.
What's best for us and what's best for Mia is probably staying in prison for as long as possible.
Family members asked the court to recognize both the harm caused and the role of severe mental illness. They supported consecutive sentences, but opposed life without the possibility of parole.
Accountability does not require us to deny your illness, and acknowledging your illness did not diminish the lives that were taken. Both realities exist at the same time.
The defense asked the court to impose concurrent sentences, arguing Bailey had no prior criminal history and that parole officers should decide whether rehabilitation is possible in the future. They then read a written statement prepared by Bailey.
It makes me want to die because I can't live with myself. I am sincerely, deeply sorry to my family that I committed this atrocity. Because of my religious beliefs as a Muslim, it would be appropriate to take my life for atonement for what I did.
Prosecutors asked for consecutive sentences, meaning longer.
Look, you can't be trans and religious. You can't. I mean, you can found some religion for yourself, but as far as the 3 established ones, you can't be. Unless you constantly atone for the sin in question. It just doesn't make any sense how people want to, like, if you really believe in something, you believe it. Other than that, you're just making changes to hopefully up your numbers. I mean, you can be more accepting of people but you're still hoping that they'll change whatever thing they consider a sin. I don't know. It's just that maybe I'm wrong. I might be off base here, but
time in prison because each sentence
and that's not to say you can't
back to back.
And that's not to say you can't be a good person by any means. It's just it's like when one of my gay friends, because they said, you grew up in the church, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like 19 or 20 at the time when they asked me. They said, well, do you think being gay is a sin? And I was like, I was raised in the church. I mean, yeah, it's a sin. And they're like, oh my God, why do you think it's bad? I said, I didn't say you didn't ask me if it was bad. He asked me if it was a sin, and it is. At least according to, the prominent religions. And like, that's a fact. Or at least based on the religions, it's a fact. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean I think you're bad, me personally. But it's against their religion. Most things that are entertaining or fun, are sins according to religions. I've never understood the confusion on this. Like most things that are fun, like going out and, partying or whatever that a lot of people do, it's sins. You can atone for those sins. But everything, pretty much everything that's fun that people do for entertainment, at least as far as mainstream stuff goes, it's sin. Like even probably like roller coaster rides where you put your life in jeopardy just for the rush. I mean, probably.
They argued the killings were aggravated by multiple factors, including that the acts were carried out after advanced preparations, that a protective order was violated, and that Bailey attempted to kill another family
Bailey's
member.
a linebacker.
You shot your parents, then you proceeded to go downstairs. The door was locked. Shot into the room. She returned to her father, who was lying on the ground, and shot him one more time in the head to make sure he was dead. She heard her mother making noises. Miss Bailey walked back over to her mother and shot her in the head to make sure she was dead.
Finally, the court sentenced Mia Bailey to 2 consecutive terms of 25 years to life for aggravated murder, plus up to 5 years for aggravated assault.
So let me see if I got this right. You take the life of your parents, your mother and your father, the 2 people who had consensual coitus to make you and bring you into this world, and you take them out, and you also attempt to take the life of your brother, your sibling, somebody who you grew up with, and all these different experiences, whether good or bad, and you decide you want to end him too. And based on how it's described, you had intent, and you were very proud at what you were doing, to the point where you wanted to double tap just for your own gratification and making sure that people in your life are no longer here by your hands. And you think by saying that you've converted to Islam and that you may have a mental breakdown in court having to face the music is supposed to create some form of sympathy towards you. It's supposed to create that leniency that might get you something of benefit to yourself. No, I believe in what should have happened. You going to jail for a long time and you being in the courtroom to face the music, because you don't get to just sit there and have everything go your way. Nobody cares about your experiences and your life story and how you got ADHD and OCD and schizophrenia, because you throw all that away the minute you take somebody's life and you double tap them and you try to kill somebody else. You don't get
the double
sympathy
tap, my God,
other people should get in regards to their mental health. You talking about how...
Hold on real quick. State Reps Tim Walz to testify in Congress on Minnesota fraud. So his own state's taking him to task. Interesting. Wait, is that state Congress? Hold on. Am I retarded? Yeah. I'll have to look that up. I know I've heard the name Keith Ellison before, but I can't recall. Anyway, sorry. I'm dumb. Let's go back to this.
If you had been treated, or if people figured you out sooner, it would have been preventable. And maybe it could have been preventable, but it wasn't. You decided to take the life of your parents. You decided to try to take the life of your brother. Now they're in fear for their lives.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, he is state 30th Attorney General of the state of Minnesota.
Is that if you somehow get out, or if you don't get a great punishment?
Yeah, that's right. What am I thinking? Bondi's still the damn AG for the country.
That matches the crime you committed, maybe they're next. Maybe this is all some big act in order to try to get out of the consequences that you know are breathing down your neck. And I'm sorry to tell you, she, but fuck you. And fuck the fact that you got all these issues because you pissed all of that away by taking your parents' life. You take away any type of care and consideration one could have by doing that, and in making it to where you're trying to garner sympathy, you start talking about, oh, well, I would feel very uncomfortable here. You should, because when you're in the courtroom for something that you did,
just so you know, I'm retarded again. Yeah, both of these guys and the rest of the state reps are going to testify before Congress, this month and next month.
Supposed to feel uncomfortable, because you know what that is? That's the consequences. Grabbing all on your shoulders and bringing you back down to reality while you think and your lawyer thinks this could be a good way to do this. This could be a good way to do that. The thing that ultimately creates that fear is the consequences breathing down your neck and then slapping you across the face. So congratulations on getting your slap across the face. I hope you rest in piss and burn in hell.
Your acts on that day,
the background pictures this guy picks,
were very chilling. If we follow what happened, you came to the house, you had a gun, you shot your parents, then you proceeded to go downstairs, the door was locked, shot into the room where your brother Corey and Amanda were. And then you went back upstairs. Ms. Bailey then went back upstairs. She stated she returned to her father, who was lying on the ground, and shot him one more time in the head to make sure he was dead. Spent shell casings were also found near Joseph Bailey's body. She heard her mother making noises. Ms. Bailey walked back over to her mother and shot her in the head to make sure she was dead.
I just want to say I'm sorry. If you did everything that he just said in my court, respect goes out the window. That's a dude. I wouldn't call him miss.
Gravity of the circumstances
after all this
again are there.
Unless his parents kept him in the basement, tortured him, and poked him with sticks. No, just no. There's no excuse for that.
And as to the sentence today, the sentence should and will be consecutive sentences. Ms. Bailey, in case 2415-01193 to the charge of aggravated murder, a first-degree felony, you are hereby sentenced to serve 25 years to life. Count 2, aggravated murder, first-degree felony, you're hereby sentenced to serve 25 years to life. Count 3, aggravated assault, a third-degree felony, you are hereby sentenced to serve 0 to 5 years, all these at the Utah State Prison, to run consecutive one with the other. Restitution will remain open. You are hereby remanded to the Department of Corrections to serve this sentence. Good luck to you.
I don't know why they call it that. There really are no corrections. Not really.
Thank you, Your Honor. Court will be in recess.
Great, thank you.
That's crazy.
To everybody else, subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Here
on the that was that was way off the tone that I was trying to set today. That was crazy. Nah, that's horrible, man. Like, look, a lot of people don't like their parents. I would venture to guess most people don't like their parents, because even the parents that gave you everything that you ever wanted or asked for, you don't respect them because they gave you everything you wanted. They're a butler. That's it. Like nobody really likes their parents. Eventually, if your parents were actually good parents, you might grow up to respect them. But you're not parents if you're besties with your kid, at least when they're kids. Like being your little buddy or something's one thing, but my God.
Taku channel, we are covering every bit of lore possible. All the lore gets covered here.
I know I'm going all over the place.
I'm doing deep dives on Islam.
I'm tired and caffeinated
so
at the same time.
So today we're going to be looking at what Islam
jarring.
thinks of the Bible. So this is really interesting. This was actually requested by a bunch of viewers. I don't know what we're doing. I got a lot of specific topics that we're going to be looking into, but we're going to start with this one because I have really no idea where we're going with this. So lock in, everybody.
I don't either. This isn't the one I meant to click on, but this is the one we're getting. So, yeah, I haven't seen this one. Let's go.
Let's not get canceled, okay? I'm just here for the objective lore and the Islamic dilemma, which is a term I've heard before, but I'm not exactly like. That's why we're doing the lore dives. The Quran, the Bible, and the Islamic dilemma. All right.
Why'd you say that like Guy on a Buffalo?
In Surah 29, verse 46, the Quran commands Muslims to say to Christians, "We believe in what has been revealed to us and in what has been revealed to you."
Bro, what? I did not know that was said in the Quran.
Our God and your God is one, and to Him we submit.
Okay.
That is
Yet
true.
many
It does say
Muslims
that.
Something very different to Christians.
And then
they say, "We don't believe in your book because it's been corrupted, and your God is a false God."
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, that's what you get
Muslims are
most
commanded
often.
to say that they believe in what has been revealed to us. Why do they instead say that they don't believe in the Bible, the only revelation we have? And if they're commanded to say that our God and their God is one, why do they instead say that our God is a false God?
All right, interesting. All right.
According to the Bible, God is a trinity, one in nature or essence, but three.
Yeah, and that's I knew that was where this was going to go. That this is something that's weird. Have I been what's it called? The Mandela effect? Have I been affected by Mandela? Is that what's going on? Like, because I could swear growing up, because I grew up in the church, and I didn't I did a little bit when I was in the Army too. Not gonna lie, mostly to get out of things, but that's horrible. Hi, Mom. But I don't recall God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, the Trinity, being three separate entities. I thought they were all in the, like, essence of the same being. That's what I always thought. I don't ever recall those being three separate entities. But at the same time, God and himself, Jesus is basically like a prophet. The only difference is him being the direct son of God, the descendant of the one true God, quote unquote. And then Muhammad, I mean, we'll get to a video, not today, but we'll get to a video about some of the reasons why he's, yeah. Like, it makes the stuff that came out about, like, Martin Luther King recently by people trying to make everyone who's ever been, like, the leader of any movement to try to make them look bad for whatever reason. Yeah, all the stuff I've read and heard about Muhammad it's pretty out there.
Three in person, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The Son entered creation as Jesus of Nazareth.
All right.
Jesus died on the cross for sins and rose from the dead. The Quran denies all of this, so a Muslim can't say that he believes in the Bible or that...
Wait. Is that the Islamic dilemma, that the Quran says that the Bible's revelations are correct, but then it just literally contradicts the Bible a lot?
Yeah.
Bro, it can't be that simple. No.
Allah and the God of the Bible are the same God.
Most things actually are.
Muslims have to reject the Bible because the Bible contradicts the Quran. But Muslims have a problem here. The Quran declares that the Torah and the Gospel were revealed by Allah. Surah 3, verses 3 through 4. He has revealed to you the book with truth, verifying that which is before it. And he revealed the Torah and the Gospel aforetime, a guidance for the people. And he sent the Quran.
Oh my God, dude. So that's wild. I'm literally in shock. So let me get this straight. So the Quran says multiple times, seemingly, that the Bible and the Torah is correct and given by God. But did it just contradict the Bible and the Torah? How does that work?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So Allah revealed the Torah and the Gospel
quite a bit,
as
actually.
a guidance.
All right.
But our Muslim friends tell us that Allah couldn't protect the Torah and the Gospel, and that both revelations were corrupted by men. What Allah sent to guide people ended up misguiding people, convincing Christians that God is a Trinity and that Jesus died on the cross for sins. Of course, we should be puzzled when Muslims tell us that the Torah and the Gospel were changed, because the Quran states that no one can change Allah's words. Surah 18, verse 27. And recite what has been revealed to you of the book of your Lord. There is none who can change his words.
Oh.
And you shall not find...
Oh my God, it's getting worse. I'm sorry, man. It's getting worse and worse. Who recommended this video? This is diabolical. No, this is getting worse and worse every single phrase. So, not only is the Torah and the Bible correct, but it's also uncorruptible. All right, his words can't be changed. It is correct and uncorruptible. And then the Quran just literally contradicts it.
Any refuge besides him. Here, our Muslim friends might say, this verse only means that no one can change the Quran.
And I might be, hold on, just side note, I might be alone here on this. I'll probably be the only one here. I don't mind the Minnesota flag change unless it really does mean what the Republicans are saying. But I don't mind the Minnesota flag change. This, I mean, that should still be the state symbol if it is, but it could be the state symbol. But this is like a real flag over here. This is like a state symbol on a flag, on a plain dark blue, navy blue, or whatever flag. And then this is more like a flag. Am I wrong here? I don't know. I mean, it does seem a little plain Jane for a flag, for any kind of organization flag. Or at least for a state flag. Like, if that's something you just came up with yourself for your own personal group or whatever, that's one thing. But for a state, I don't know. Sorry, just side tangent. I'll get back on this.
But the verse doesn't say that no one can change the Quran. It says that no one can change Allah's words. And the Torah and the Gospel, according to the Quran, are Allah's words.
Your Allah's words.
Right.
Despite Allah's clear declaration that no one can change his words, many Muslims assert that the Gospel was corrupted by the Apostle Paul or by later Christians. If the Gospel is corrupted...
I mean, dude, we literally have, like, the Dead Sea Scrolls, though. Like, I love these arguments, but, I mean, we literally have the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are ancient scrolls that were found with the literal words of the Torah written on it in Hebrew.
Yeah.
The same way we have it now. 3,000-year-old scrolls written exactly word for word with what we've been saying. I mean, obviously nothing was corrupted.
We can only wonder why the Quran says that Christians still had the gospel during the time of Muhammad. Surah 7, verse 157. Those who follow the messenger, the unlettered prophet, whom they find mentioned in their own scriptures, in the Torah and the gospel.
All right.
It is they who will prosper.
Bro, stop! There's no way! If you follow the Torah, you will prosper. Also, here's why you shouldn't be following the Torah. Dude, stop!
Yeah.
How could Christians find Muhammad mentioned in the gospel when the gospel was supposedly corrupted centuries earlier? Is Allah saying that we find Muhammad mentioned in our corrupted scriptures? But we don't find Muhammad mentioned in our scriptures at all.
Yeah, he was way
except
later.
as part of a general warning about false prophets who come to lead people away from the gospel.
It does say that. It does talk about false prophets.
And if we did find Muhammad mentioned in our scriptures, how would we know that this wasn't one of the corrupted parts? And since our scriptures contradict Islam, why would Allah appeal to them as evidence for Islam? But Allah goes much further than this. He commands Christians to judge by the gospel. Surah 5, verse 47.
All right.
Let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah hath revealed therein. If any do fail to judge by the light of what Allah hath revealed, they are no better than those who rebel.
Dude, wait. So that's not Sharia law. Sharia law is the law of Islam, right? So literally, the Quran is telling people not to go by Islam, but to go by the gospel law or the Torah law. But then it'll literally contradict it.
Yeah.
I suppose this is the dilemma.
Why does Allah command us to judge by a corrupt book?
That's a good question.
The only gospel we have contradicts Islam. So in order to obey Allah's command, we would have to judge by the gospel and conclude that Islam is false. Allah continues along these same lines in Surah 5, verse 68. Say, O people of the book, you have no ground to stand upon unless you stand fast by the Torah, the gospel, and all the revelation that has come to you from your Lord.
God, dude, it's crazy that there's so many of these. I thought maybe it would be like one verse. There's like dozens of verses like this, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, people of the book, follow your Torah, and then the Torah literally contradicts whatever it says. Well, whatever it says in the Quran contradicts the Torah. You know, according to the Torah, you can't beat your wife. According to the Quran, it's incentivized, actually. Like, there's a lot of things that just don't exactly fit, man. You know, smite the kafar wherever you find him is not a biblical mindset. This is wild. Bruh.
And it really is. Like,
why would Allah
if you do any research on this,
it's stand upon wild. Unless we stand upon a corrupt book? If the gospel has been corrupted, wouldn't Allah just tell us to get rid of it and believe in the Quran?
Yeah, no. That's weird.
So the Quran clearly maintains that the gospel is authoritative for Christians, and this only makes sense if the author of the Quran believed that Christians have the word of God.
That is
but the gospel wasn't just authoritative for Christians. It was also authoritative for Muhammad himself, and therefore for Muslims. One day, Muhammad started having doubts about his revelations.
What?
In response to these doubts, Allah commanded Muhammad to go to the people of the book, Jews and Christians, for confirmation. Surah 10, verse 94. But if you, O Muhammad, are in doubt as to what we have revealed to you, ask those who read the book before.
Wait, who's we?
We.
Allah
us,
refers
ourselves.
to himself as we?
You. Certainly, the truth has come to you from your Lord. Therefore, you should not be of the disputers.
Bro, if you doubt the revelation you got, just go to the Jews and Christians. They'll tell you what it says in their Torah, which is correct.
Yeah.
Notice how he doesn't tell them to read it because Muhammad was illiterate.
Yeah, and again, the Torah is, I'm pretty sure, just the first 5 chapters of the Bible. And the Tanakh is, I'm pretty sure, the Old Testament with a few differences, I think.
But that's wild.
Muslims today act as if the Quran stands in judgment over the Bible. Since the Bible contradicts the Quran, Muslims assume that the Bible must be rejected. But in the Quran, it's exactly the opposite. The Bible stands in judgment over the Quran, and Muhammad himself could only confirm his revelations by checking to see if they line up with the scriptures
which they don't.
Of the people of the book.
Which they literally don't.
Since Muhammad continued preaching Islam, he apparently never took this test very seriously. If he had gone to the people of the book in search of confirmation,
he would have noticed.
He would have been forced to reject it.
See, and Muhammad seems a lot like Stalin. If you know the history of how Stalin came to power, basically, Stalin was not an idealist, but he was very driven. But he wasn't really taken seriously, and he was put in charge of something, but it was in charge of staffing, basically. And through the years, as everything else was going on, he was making moves based off of staffing, and then come up and just kind of took over when the other two were at a weak moment. It's classic. Kind of looks like what Muhammad has kind of done. His whole book, like if he wrote this story like this, because that's what it states in the actual Quran. It's wild how many contradictions there are in there, and how many times Allah has told Muhammad to reference the Torah. It is funny in the religious sense, I guess, but it's wild. Like if he actually wrote this, and then still managed to turn himself into one of the big three, is crazy. Like probably first or second largest religion, I think. I think it's blurry exactly who's the number one religion in the world right now. I'm pretty sure it's Islam. That's crazy, given the actual text of the Quran.
The Quran.
Yeah.
Because the Quran puts Muslims in an inescapable dilemma.
Yeah.
Either Christians have the inspired, preserved, authoritative Word of God, or we don't. Those are the only two possibilities.
Damn.
If we have the inspired, preserved, authoritative Word of God, Islam is false, because Islam contradicts what we have.
Which it does, constantly.
If we don't have the inspired, preserved, authoritative Word of God, Islam is false, because the Quran affirms the inspiration, preservation, and authority of our book.
Exactly.
So if the gospel is the Word of God, Islam is false. If the gospel isn't the Word of God, Islam is false.
Therefore, Islam is false. That's it. Yeah.
Either way,
all right.
Islam is false.
Bro.
Like it's literally like that what's that tale where there's two doorways, and the keeper of one doorway always tells truths, and the keeper of the other doorway always tells lies. So you have to figure out specifically what question to ask which one. And how do you know which one's telling the truth and which one's telling a lie? You have to phrase the question in a certain way to the one that's lying, and it would be something to that effect. That's crazy.
That's the Islamic dilemma.
By affirming scriptures that contradict its core teachings, Islam self-destructs. Muslims who don't want to believe in a religion that self-destructs will therefore need to find a new religion.
Oh my God.
Let's encourage our Muslim friends to obey the gospel, as both of our religions command.
Damn, bro. He cooked on this video. I'm not gonna lie.
No, he really did.
The fact that he went all out with the budget, with the animations and the lettering and the writing.
And I love stuff like that. It might just because I'm a comic book nerd, and I love, I was gonna say loved, but still love certain cartoons. I'll always watch South Park till the day I die, as long as it's still got episodes. That's gonna be crazy. Like the day that they stop making South Park episodes, that's gonna be because they've been making them for. Like I know The Simpsons is still going technically, but no one cares. Really, no one cares. People who watch The Simpsons still watch it out of habit, like your grandfather did Matlock. It's not that they like the show. It's just, they watched that other show with Andy Griffith, and now they watch this show with Andy Griffith.
Damn, he cooked. So that's the Islamic dilemma. All right, so I properly understand that now. So I didn't realize there were so many verses in the Quran that were literally constantly affirming the Bible again and again.
Yeah,
like
no, it's crazy.
there are obvious differences. Like it talks about in the Quran how Abraham actually the chosen people actually came from his son Ishmael. Not true. Came from Isaac, as stated literally directly in the Bible in Genesis chapter 22, you know? And straight from there, and they have like this whole story about how Ishmael and Abraham went to Mecca and they worshiped the stone thing. And bro, that is literally all completely and utterly garbage according to the Bible. So the fact that it talks about the Bible as being the word of God and authoritative, does completely self-destruct. That's crazy. I didn't realize it was. I didn't realize the Quran was such a big fan of the Word of God. Ironic.
I didn't either until I read it.
So anyway, that was Islam's
I need to go through and read it
stance
again.
on the Bible. Lore dive. Interesting. All right. Let me know in the comments future Islamic lore dives you're interested in me doing, and I'll see you in the next one. Damn. Bye.
Yeah, and then that one's pretty interesting too. I watched a little bit of it, but then I was like, I'd much rather watch it with y'all. But yeah, so that's the show for today. An hour and 20 minutes worth. That's a Disney show or a Disney movie. Yeah. It's a weird one. I know it's New Year's Day. I've been wanting to do these. I've been watching these for a little bit, and then I saw that Nux had also watched them, and I like his opinion on things. He's interesting. Again, like most people, I don't agree with some of the things he says, but a lot of the stuff that he says is based, and he, I don't know, he's going after a few of the people that, you know, are causing real harm to the zeitgeist, as it said. But yeah, that's all for the day, guys. I appreciate you being here. Happy New Year. I hope everyone got through 2025 safe, and we'll see what 2026 has for us this year. Please, if you were here for any amount of time, drop a like, drop a dislike, hell. Just give me some engagement. I appreciate all the people in the chat. Yeah, it's been a ride, but 2026, there will be some more things. We'll see what we can do to get out there and make the channel interesting and worth following or subscribing. Yeah, and from there, who knows? I got a lot of things we're going to do in 2026 on here. I'm going to start stand-up here, and I think next week is when I was planned. I have to look at my notebook and see if I have enough material. But, yeah, it's going to be a big year, 2026. We'll keep at it. Until tomorrow, this is Alfie Animus of the Associated Guess.